Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my NHL 20 franchise mode here in the state of hockey. In the previous episode, we beat the LA Kings in round number 1 of the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. And you know what? They gave us a run for our money. I know we won in 5 games, but the games that we won could have been a little... we could have just come out of the gate really hot, and we didn't. We won game number 1. I don't take this 4-1 game. It was 5 games. This was just the last game of the regular season. We won game number 1, lost in OT. So their only victory came in extra time, but there were a lot of games here. Like game number 1, we were up 4-0, and they scored 3 straight. Game number 2, obviously, we lost. Game number 3 was a lot closer. Shutout, 7-1 victory. So, we beat them. There was no question about that. We're here in round 2. There's a few things that I'm a little iffy about. Obviously, Weeman played pretty solid throughout the first round. We got the victory, and that's what I said. If we didn't make it out of the first round this year, we would have some problems. And LA's record didn't show how good they were. I think their coach has some problems because Shane Wright was on the 4th line, not even playing center. Yakupov was scratched. They had a few problems, but they were a stacked team. I think their weakest part would have been defense. They had Drew Doughty. They had Bjornfoot. But we beat them. And that's all that really matters. We were solid. We were solid on home ice, away. We were good in both aspects. But I haven't actually checked the stats out yet for round number 1. I'm going to see a few outliers, I'm sure. So let's check and see who came up big. Our captain, Kirill Kaprizov. Oh my god, I'm off to such a fantastic start, Owen. One of these episodes I'm going to go without making a mistake. But today is not that day. Kirill Kaprizov, the new captain of the Minnesota Wild. You know, game tying goals? Sorry, I just got off track there. Game tying goals? That's a thing? Wait, what? Game tying goal? That's a thing? Since when was that a thing? That's strange. I'll keep an eye on that. That's weird, though. I've never actually paid attention to that. Kirill Kaprizov, newest captain of the Minnesota Wild. He scored in every game except, I want to say, our last game. He scored 5 goals in 4 games. He was our best player, except Weeman was really, really good. He was shooting at 26%. This is a guy that is going to get you goals in the playoffs. He's a guy you're going to look for because he's going to simulate really well. He's not going to get shut down a lot, especially last year. He scored 3 goals in 5 games, or 6 games. 3 goals in 6 games, 6 points. He's always going to be a really good producer for us. 7 points, 5 games, really solid. Anthony Francis, you know, in the first 4 games, he had 4 points. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? You're 99 overall, 99 stats everywhere. What's going on, Anthony? But game number 5, he gets, I want to say, a natural hat trick, or he got 2 in one period, 1 in the next on the power play. You know, stats are stats, but he was important in that game 5, even though it was a 7-1 victory. He scored those goals to put us so far ahead, LA didn't have a chance. And really surprisingly, Luke Kunin, 26 years of age, 7 points. And this is a guy where I don't know where he fits into my lineup into the future, but if he continues to prove himself as a dominant player here in the postseason, he makes a case. Okay, because I was playing him on the 4th line the majority of the season. I hate doing that. I really, really hate doing that. But especially with Lucas Raymond potentially losing his spot this coming off season, Luke Kunin could be our 3rd line center for years to come. Alexei Pietrangelo didn't score a lot of goals that series, but 6 points in 5 games. If you're over a point per game, you're doing something right there. Really, really appreciate that. And Henrik Borgstrom. You know, his 2 goals came in, I believe, I want to say Game 1 and Game 2, if I'm not mistaken. It says he's a third-line scorer. Okay. He reminds me of Luke Kunin. I would say Luke Kunin is the better player, but Borgstrom, we picked him up at the deadline. He didn't have a great stretch to the end of the season. He had 8 points in 22 games. But here in the postseason, he's been a nice shutdown guy, especially going up with guys against Anze Kopitar, Taylor Hall, Alexander Holtz. He's been really, really solid against those players, and I appreciate that. Then you have Cale Newman with the exact same offensive stats as Borgstrom, even though Borgstrom is shooting 33%. 2 goals, 3 points in 5 games, and he's a plus player. That's all I can really ask for from a 20-year-old. And he's 85 overall, so he's probably taking a spot from somebody next year in the top 6. Then you have another rookie in Luis Langweeder. 19 years of age, 3 points. Okay, that's weird. I've never actually seen that before. They have the exact same goal totals and assist totals. It's kind of funny. Then you have David Pastrnak. 3 points in 5 games. I'm expecting better things from him. He did have 1 game winner. It was the only goal he scored, which was important. So obviously, he's an important piece of this team. I'm just expecting bigger things from him. Especially when you're comparing it to a 4th liner and Jason Zucker, who has the exact same amount of points as you do and a better plus minus. You better pick your pace up. Hartman with 3 points plus 4. He was really solid for us. Nils Höglander was not the best. I really, really like him as an offensive player. He's only going to get better. He's 23.89 overall. That second line had some troubles this round, but I digress. Lucas Raymond. He scored 1 goal. I want to say it was Game 1 or Game 2, something like that. I don't like him. People are saying, some of you guys are saying, you're not putting him in a position to succeed. I've done everything I can. I did play him on the power play once or twice. And why would I risk my awesome power play, my 36% power play in the regular season, putting a guy with 1 point in 5 games on the power play who's obviously not going to help us out? Look at his stats. His overall, yeah, that's a decent overall. He's a sniper. His shooting stats don't suggest that. They just don't. I don't know where I see Lucas Raymond in my future, and if we find a trade in the offseason, he's going for something, obviously. Now let's get to the defense here. Brant Clark, 7 assists in 5 games. He has 10 shots, 0 goals though, but 2 penalty minutes. He's been really, 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 really solid. Is this a captain down the road? I want him on my roster for his entire career, hopefully. I mean, we signed him to a $5.1 million contract for the next 8 years. We also signed Mironov. I think it was a fantastic deal for each one of them. He was our most impressive. I would say he was probably our most impressive player alongside Kaprizov, just dominating the ice. When you're plus 7 and 7 points, you are important to this team. Matt Dumba, I have my words about him. I've said everything I need to say about him. 3 points in 5 games. He's helping us out there. Quinn Hughes struggled a bit. Oh, and that's something I forgot to mention at the starting of this episode. Quinn Hughes got injured in game number 5, and he's out until May. So probably this entire round, or up to probably game 6, somewhere around there. So that is something we're going to have to address, and we will talk about that, okay? Marcus Mironov, 3 points in 5 games. He's a plus 10, an absolute machine. It says he's an offensive defenseman. He doesn't always need to put up the points, even though he's really good at putting up points. He's a really, really solid. He's a hybrid. It says he's an offensive defenseman, but he continuously has a best plus minus, which I need that from him, because usually you see offensive defensemen with floating around 0 plus minus, but he has not struggled in the slightest. Thomas Hickey has also been a really good shutdown guy on our third pairing. If we have the ability to bring him back in the offseason, I would love to. He's a really solid piece for our bottom pairing there. I really, really enjoy him there. Thomas Hickey, I like him. Thomas Hickey, I like him, okay? Joe Hicketts, +4 in 5 games, 0 points. Can't ask for much more than that. Goaltending, Weeman. Bishop played 1 game, got 1 win. I'm not sure how that... Did they split a win there? I'm not too sure. Weeman struggled in game number 1 and game number 3, the 7-4 win. Okay, but he lost 1 game, okay? He got 1 shutout. He was an absolute baller, and I hate giving credit to my goalies because they're flip-floppy. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they play like garbage. At a drop of a dime, you never know. But he's our future, and him progressing this well and playing this well so far, getting us into the second round, is highly appreciated. You can say what you want about Ben Bishop. He wasn't the best during the regular season. They split starts. He is the mentor to Weeman, and I like that tandem, okay? But I know what you are all here for. Not about the stats. Not about my whole spiel on the Minnesota Wild. You are here for round number 2 against the former dynasty in the Chicago Blackhawks. They went 50-22-10 this year, which is an odd record. They could have been so much better if they would have just picked up a few extra points in overtime in the shootout. They're 6-3-1 heading into the postseason. Who did they beat the first round? I want to keep more in track of the storylines in the playoffs. So they beat Winnipeg in round number 1. Ooh, and Colorado's gone as well. Okay, the East. Philly and Islanders move on, and Ottawa and Buffalo. That is this is a strange playoff race, folks. Okay, but the Chicago Blackhawks. You know who's on this team. There's a few guys that I'm pretty sure I know who are on this team, and we will get to that right now. I don't see Captain Clutch there. No, Jonathan Toews is not on the Chicago Blackhawks, but this is a scary team. Okay, let's start from the top. You have Kirby Dach. He was the 3rd overall pick in last year's NHL entry draft IRL 2019. He was picked after Capo Caco. He's a power forward, apparently. Guy's got moves. He's going to be a really solid NHL player. I'm surprised he's center. I mean, is DeBrincat? I thought DeBrincat was a center. Apparently, I was wrong. Alex DeBrincat, 26 years of age, one of the most underrated NHL players in his draft. I mean, his first ever season he had 28 goals. The year after, he had 41. He can score 40 again if he feels like it. I feel so... Oh, my God. Speaking of my favorite teams, even though I didn't talk about my favorite teams, they acquired Alex DeBrincat because Montreal traded, I want to say, 2 seconds for Andrew Shaw, and Andrew Shaw came over to Montreal. I thought it was an okay trade at the time because Andrew Shaw, he was a solid NHL player. But Chicago picked Alex DeBrincat. Yippee! And he's going to burn teams for the rest of his career. Speaking of burning teams, Patrick Kane, 35 years of age. You can debate, but he is probably the best American player of all time. I would say Mike Modano is probably second. Patrick Kane already has 3 Stanley Cups in his NHL career, 3 in 5 years. He is an absolute beautiful player. I mean, you can question his character. Yes, I'm not even going to get into that, but he is a pure playmaker. He can score goals, he can get assists, he can do all that. He's an absolute wizard with the puck, and I'm scared of that first line. Second line, it doesn't get any easier for us. Dylan Strome, drafted by Arizona, 3rd overall, behind, I want to say, Jack Eichel in the McDavid draft. So you can talk about how his NHL career has gone so far, but I think he's gonna have a nice career in Chicago if he stays there. I mean, last year, 2018, he had 51 points with Chicago. He had a decent season, and he's been this year he had his best career, best season, 83 points per game. He's a beauty. Alex Not Nylander. Okay, I almost said Nylander. Nylander. Ah, whatever. He's in his prime, okay? And we've dealt with him before in the postseason in previous franchise modes. 64 points this year. He's probably going to be a 65-point player his entire career. He looks to be a solid power play forward, playing 16 minutes a night. That's a solid combo, but adding Gustav Slychuk, the created player drafted last NHL draft, 14th overall, 5 goals in 6 games last round, 90 points in his rookie season with the Chicago Blackhawks. You can talk about who went before him in the draft, but he is their future. You could consider him the best player on this team right now. Even if he doesn't have that overall, he's their future. At 19, he's going to be 90 overall in the next year. And it doesn't get any easier. Cole Perfetti, 22 years of age, medium elite, 87 overall playmaker on the third line, which you can debate. Yeah, they have a stacked offensive core. They also have Dominic Kabulik. I'm pretty sure he has 20-plus goals this year in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure I'm right. He's also a solid forward, but they're all playing out of position. I mean, Cole Perfetti should be in the top 6. You can debate Dominic as well, but they have a stacked forward core. And they just traded for Noel Acciari near the trade deadline. I remember that happening. They traded 2 of their first-round draft picks to Florida for Noel Acciari. He had 12 points in 26 games. Playoff stats, he has 4 and 6, so he's helping out that bottom 6. And their fourth line, it does not get any easier for the Minnesota Wild. They have Adam Lowry, they have Brandon Saad, and Jespers Fast. That's a solid third line, second line on some teams. Okay, so they have one of the best offensive cores I've seen this early into this franchise mode. Defense, does it? Okay, so they obviously have their franchise guy in Adam Boqvist, who can contend for an Norris this year, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go to your boy Quinn Hughes. 72 points. Yeah, he's a solid. He's one of the best defensemen in the NHL. They also have Oliver Shoddy, Snudgaard, Boudin, Santini, and Olsen. So after Boqvist, they don't have another solid stay-at-home defenseman. They got Boqvist, but after that, Oliver Shoddy, Snudgaard, that's honestly it. I'm not a huge fan of anybody else here. Maybe Boudin if he was a bit younger, and Olsen's pretty young, who's a solid NHL prospect. But they got a mediocre defensive core. If you take Boqvist out of the situation, they have one of the worst defenses I've seen in a little bit. It really reminds me of LA's defense last round, where they have a great offensive core. They don't put a lot of money in their defensive core, except for one guy in Drew Doughty, and you can see the parallels there. But it always comes down to goaltending. Ooh, no. One of the created goalies I put in last year, or 2 drafts ago, Jin Run. I'm pretty sure he's from China. He's a franchise goalie, 199 pounds, 20 years of age. How did he do in the regular season this year? 907, of course. Last year had 927. 34 wins for the Blackhawks this year. He's going to be the difference maker in this round. They also have Alexis Gravel, who is a really solid NHL backup there. Any scratch players? They have Curley. They have Jarnkrok. Nope, I know how to say this. Callie Jarnkrok. Nope. Something like that. And they have Brandon Peary. Can you just pick a normal name, please? Okay. I get why they're a good team, but I also get why they would struggle. I see a lot of guys that shouldn't be where they should be, but obviously we do have to address Quinn Hughes, and I did remind myself Quinn Hughes is out for a little bit, and Sutter comes in for him. I'm gonna fix this up. So Mironov is gonna go to the top line. Hold on, do I go maybe Matthew Dumba and... Yeah, it works. That works for me. And then we'll fix up the special teams. Obviously, it does suck losing him for a little bit, and then we'll get Clark on here. We'll get him on 2 power play lines because I feel like it. And obviously losing him for a little bit is going to hurt us. Or a little bit, it's most of this round, but I can keep Sutter there. Yeah, we're going to have to roll with that. We got to trust this lineup. Are we better than the Chicago Blackhawks? We will have to test our will here. I need us to make it out of this round. We need to continue with our forward momentum. Obviously, you guys are ready for this round. We have home ice. We are the President's Trophy winners. We have history with Chicago. Do we come out on top in this one? Game number 1. Here we go. First period. David Pastrnak gets on the board. He only scored 1 last round, but he got the game winner in round number 1 against LA. And he comes up big here with goal number 1, goal number 2 of the postseason for him. They are out shooting us by 1, but it's pretty even. Second period. 3-1. Kirill Kaprizov continuing his goal-scoring parade. Is that the right word to describe it? He's got 6 goals in 6 games. Gustav Slychuk scores on the power play, and that's a name I want you to remember. Gustav Slychuk. Remember that name. And then Jason Zucker makes it a 3-1 game. A very, very important goal. They outshoot us 25-22, but we have the goals so far. Third period underway. Patrick Kane scores early, 13 seconds into the third period, making this an interesting game. You need to shut it down here, Minnesota. Get 1. All you need is 1 to make this a game. Or not make this a game. Push it out of reach for Chicago. Quarter of the period remaining. Get it done, Minnesota. Don't crumble. Come on. Get it done. And Thomas Hickey scores the empty netter. You rarely see a defenseman get the empty netter, but he probably shot it all the way down the ice. Weeman with the first star. A fantastic game on his own. He did let up an early one in the third period, but we got it done anyway. A big 4-2 win. You saw big guys come out clutch there. Oh, what? Quinn Hughes is ready to play? I thought it said May. Oh, well then, damn, we're going to have to get him into the lineup, aren't we? Welcome back to the club, Quinn. I swear to God, he was supposed to be out a lot longer than that. Okay, let's fix this up then. Honestly, I thought it said May. Or was it early May? And we're at the end of, I'm honestly not sure about that. We'll go with Quinn Hughes here. Okay. Okay, that works. Okay, good. So a good game 1. Quinn Hughes draws in. I thought he was hold on. We got to check that injury report. Is he healthy? He broke it. Oh, May 1st. So, okay, it was a broken nose. I mean, hockey players usually play with a lot worse injuries than that, but I guess you can't see if it's really breaking your nose has got to suck, okay? Game number 2, home ice. Can we take both here in Minnesota? First period of game number 2. Oh my, David Pastrnak scores 28 seconds into the first period, but Patrick Kane has the equalizer. Kaprizov make that 7 goals in 7 games for the captain. Bodine ties this one up. We are obliterating them in shots. 16-7 actually. Okay. Second period. And Cole Perfetti gets on the board. They catch up on shots. It was on the power play too. Minnesota. Come on, Minnesota. It's a close one. We outshoot them. You just need 1. Louis Langweeder. And Ryan Hartman, the bottom 6, getting it done. 2 quick ones to start off this period. Less than a minute apart. Actually, less than 20 seconds apart there. Is that enough? Ryan Hartman, the bottom 6, the 4th line right winger. Is that enough to close out game number 2? A game-winning goal for Ryan Hartman. Is it enough? It is enough. We storm back in the third period early. and the Chicago Blackhawks cannot answer. Brant Clark has 10 points in 7 games, all of them being assists. This is his breakout season, and honestly, if you want a guy to break out, you want it to be in the most important games. And the most important games are the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we are up 2-0 in the series. We head to the United Center in Chicago. They've been in these situations before. They know how to close out series. They know how to bring it back. Okay. You're a President's Trophy winning team. Use some of that magic. Come on, Minnesota. First period. 2-0. Meet Marcus Mironov. Eminem. Kaprizov on the power play. Make that 8 goals in 8 games. They outshoot us 14-9, but I will take that score any day of the week. Second period. 4-2, Olsen scores early into the second period. Petroangelov on the board. Kaprizov make that 9 in 8 games, if I am not mistaken. Adam Lowry makes it a 2-goal game late into the second period. We outshoot them, not by a wide margin. Third period. Come on, shut it down, Minnesota. All you needed was 1 to push it out of reach. Brandon Saad, the 4th-line left winger, gets it done. Borgstrom, you beautiful bastard. Picking him up at the trade deadline. Oh my god, I can't get it right, but he comes in clutch. He usually tends to do that when we need him the most here in the postseason. Is that enough? Luke Kunin with the late goal. Make that a 3-0 series lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Yes, Minnesota, yes. Brant Clark with 12 assists. You can't stop this man. 12 assists. And Iowa's still going strong. Hell yeah, Iowa. Okay. We're up 3-0. Chicago, let's go back to, I want to say it was the year 2011 when they went down 3-0 against Vancouver. They forced a Game 7 but lost in overtime. They've been in this situation before. Some of the guys on that Chicago Blackhawks team were a part of their success. Patrick Kane being one of them, okay? Get it done, Chicago. Get it done, Chicago. Get it done in Chicago. I'm so sorry. Come on, state of hockey. Finish it out here in Chicago. I'm sure Chicago's a fun place to party. Game number 4. Boys, get it done. First period. Chicago scores too early on the power play. Gustav Slychuk, I told you that was a name to remember. Cole Perfetti making it 2-0 late into the first. Rough start, Minnesota. Second period. We score 1, cutting the lead in half, but Gustav scores yet again. Second goal of the evening. We have a 3-1 deficit heading into the third. Can we get an early one to make this a game? Power play for Minnesota. Can't capitalize. Another power play. Cannot capitalize. Power play for Chicago. They score automatically. What the hell is that? Anthony Francis finally gets on the board there. Can we get a little magic here? 1 goal. Make this a game. And Gustav Slychuk completes the hat trick in game number 4. And they will make this a series. David Pastrnak gets a late goal, but that will not be enough. A rough game from each end of the ice. I'm a little disappointed. I'm a lot disappointed. Come on, another 2 points for Brant Clark, guys, and a machine. I've never had a defenseman win the Conn Smythe, but hopefully that year is this year. Or that time is this year. You know what I mean. Okay. Don't let them get back into this series. You have 3 more chances to end this. This is game number 5. Don't let them get back into this. Finish it on home ice. Do whatever you need to do. Take your stick, Smack him over the head with it. I don't care if you get a suspension. If it's Patrick Kane, if it's Gustav Slychuk, get it done. Literally. Do whatever you need to do. I don't care if you get suspended. Okay? First period of game number 5. Here we go. 2-2. We score 2 early. Numanen, haven't seen that name in a while. Alexei Petrangelov makes it 2-0. Kirby Dax scores, and then Cole Perfetti with 8 seconds left. That is a recurring theme I've seen here in this series. Teams tend to get a late goal into a period of play, and it's a whole new game. It's dead even at 2 apiece, and the shots are pretty close as well. Second period. Oh my god, DeBrincat scores early. Quinn Hughes, Anthony Francis, and Anthony Francis. We have 2 players on hat-trick watch in the second period. What the hell, Quinn Hughes? You absolute beauty. Anthony Francis, in series-deciding games, he decides to score plenty of goals. It's 6-3 Minnesota. Close it out. 4 straight goals in the second period. That has to be enough. Kaprizov, make that, I want to say that's 10 goals in 10 games. Francis, shorthanded goal, completes the hat trick. Who's surprised? He gets a hat trick in a series-deciding game. 8-4, and the Minnesota Wild will advance to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since their first ever postseason run. Anthony Francis with a fantastic game, number 5. Oh my gosh, what a game for the Minnesota Wild. And it looks like we will be playing the Vancouver Canucks in round number 3. And the Islanders and Buffalo Sabres. That is an interesting matchup there in the East. But I will show you the stats in the next episode, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please leave a like, leave a comment, share with people who you think may enjoy this sort of thing. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.